Yo, what's going on, y'all?
What's happening, everybody?
Welcome to our second, I think it's the second ever Friday stream.
We're being a little bit more impromptu this year.
Yeah, we didn't have a Thursday night stream last week, and I just wanted to go live with y'all for a little bit today. It is only going to be an hour-long stream, but wanted to go live with you guys today just to give you a little extra since I didn't last week. And Nick decided to join us. A little disclaimer, I guess, for the next few days. Saturday night stream is just going to be me, just like last week, because Nick's got some plans. And Sunday looks to be the same deal. So if you have any kicker questions, specifically,
ask them now.
Get them in now, because this is the only day that you're going to have the Kicker Whisperer available, not in Discord, on a live stream.
I will try to be available tomorrow. It is looking unlikely, but I will try to be available. I can answer questions in the Discord it won't be, it might not be immediate, but I'll do what I can throughout the weekend. But if you're not in our Discord and you think that might be helpful for you, third link in the description of this video.
Absolutely free.
And all of our, evergreen invite and all of our recent videos. If you happen to find, one of our other videos, Discord is third link in that description as well.
And Joller, what's going on, man? You have any questions for us to start us off?
Let us know. Friday, so we're starting to get some injury reports coming in for the game, at least as far as the official count goes. Keenan Allen's going to miss a fourth straight game with the hamstring injury.
Yeah, bad luck.
Not a great development there for Keenan Allen. Yeah,
not what you wanted when you drafted your your wide receiver, maybe your wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2.
Wide receiver 1 because he was a third round pick. So, obviously we're, hopefully he gets back soon, but lengthy absence now for Allen. Kyle Pitts missed all week with a hamstring injury. He is out. Some of his fantasy managers might actually feel like they have a bit less of a headache to deal with. But again, he is a big time weapon, even if it hasn't showed up in the box score yet this year. So that's a big loss.
He's 17 right now in air yards.
Yeah, so
it's going to be a big uptick for him this week because there's no Kyle Pitts. So expect a huge week from Drake London this week, or on the larger side in terms of the weeks, the fantasy weeks you could have.
Yeah, just out of necessity because they're also without Cordero Patterson.
Absolutely.
Rashad Bateman out, so Mark Andrews is going to get absolutely all of the work that he can handle.
Devin Duvernay's a solid stream this week.
Duvernay should, in leagues where you might have multiple flex spots, or even if you're just, maybe you went thin on wide receiver and you're between wide receiver 3s each week, he's a plug and play as the top wideout, at least, wide receiver for Lamar Jackson to be throwing to. So he gets a bump up.
And I dare I say, Isaiah Likely gets a little bit of a bump up too.
Sure.
Just got to throw that out there. But that is a little bit more of a desperation dart throw, 16-team league type situation. But
14 team league.
Just throwing that out there.
14-team league that drafted Kyle Pitts and Dawson Knox.
Yeah, there you go.
Who is also out. Trying to think if there was one other noteworthy injury to bring up. Allen, Pitts, Bateman. There was another one.
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston. Yep. Both. Winston is doubtful. It's looking like it's going to be the Andy Dalton show once again for New Orleans. They are hosting. Who are they hosting? I think they're at home. Oh, Seattle. They're hosting Seattle in a desperation game for New Orleans. They will not have Winston. They will not have Michael Thomas. Chris Olave is a borderline wide receiver 1.
I think he is a wide receiver 1. He is leading the league right now in air yards. 577 air yards, leads the league. That's more than Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, all these other guys. He's also leading the league in unrealized air yards. So he might leave some of those on the table, but he's getting targeted so much just out of necessity that he is a wide receiver 1 this week.
Looks like the Saints will have Alvin Kamara back as well, so you have to figure he sees as much of a target share as he can possibly manage in a matchup against Seattle where he has historically had success. Not that you needed that tidbit to fire up a healthy Alvin Kamara, but he looks to be back in the mix this weekend. And then, of course, we can do start sit help over the next hour, or any suggestions or requests for advice that you need as we kick off week 5 and officially move through the first quarter of the NFL season.
And it looks like Joller comes through with the first question. It is a defense question. It is, what defense should he be streaming this week? Currently has the Lions in there, and he says that it is a little bit tough because of budget restrictions.
Yeah, don't pick the Lions just because, yes, I am a proponent of identifying defenses that are cheap, but this is not one of those scenarios. The Lions can't stop a nosebleed right now, and they're on the road outside of the cushy dome that they play in Detroit. I know New England currently giving up the 7th most points to defenses. So yeah,
it is a pretty decent matchup. Also considering Bailey Zappi is going to be under the helm for them.
Will he? Is that official? Has Mac Jones been ruled out?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 100%, but
he's doubtful.
Man, come on.
He's doubtful.
Yeah, I don't see them rushing him back.
So it will be Bailey Zappi. I think they're going to run the ball a ton this week. So Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are absolutely top 15 plays this week, both of them. With that said, I think they're going to limit Bailey Zappi. They're going to keep as much off of his plate as possible. The third string quarterback is not enough for me to want the Lions here. I'm trying to think if there's anybody on the cheaper side. What I'm looking for are home favorites. Like, what is Jacksonville's cost, Joller? Like,
Jacksonville's probably owned. They're the third best defense in the league thus far.
This is defense, or this is daily. This is daily. This is DFS. So he's looking for, sorry,
I didn't see that. My bad.
Yeah, Joller's looking for just like a cheaper option for their DFS line.
Then I like that. Again, they are the number 3 defense in fantasy scoring through 4 weeks. So absolutely go up and pay up if you have to a little bit for the Jags playing the Texans.
They might not be too expensive relative to cost and matchup, but let me know who like the lower end options are as far as their cost. Typically though, I'm looking for home teams, even like less than home teams. Even if they're like less than stellar, maybe it's an offense coming in hobbled. Like obviously hindsight, example because they played last night, but Denver last night at home against an Indianapolis offense that was missing Jonathan Taylor. Like, who's missing a key piece on offense? Like trying to think of like a home, just based on the injuries from that we just listed. I guess there probably aren't any, Tampa's going to be one of the most expensive defenses on the slate, if not the most expensive. New Orleans is probably going to be up there as well, going against Seattle. And just because the Saints are without Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas, I don't want the Seahawks defense on the road. The Chiefs are an option. That's fine. I would do the Chiefs at home.
The Chiefs, the Lions are fine for me. I do believe they're fine. They might not have the highest upside, but I think they're streamable at least. But considering I think you should go after the
I would
Jags
take the Chiefs
if you can.
I would take the Chiefs.
Over the Jags?
Or, well, as far as relative to budget, if the Chiefs are one of the cheaper options and you're trying to save dollars to put them at, to put higher end options at other positions, the Chiefs are fine with me. The Raiders are a good, not great offense, and the Chiefs are at home and the better team than the Raiders. Again, sometimes it just comes down to who do you expect to win the game? And I would expect the Chiefs to beat the Raiders at home in Kansas City in prime time. Therefore, I think their defense is going to have opportunities, sacks and turnovers. In a game where, I would expect the Raiders to be trailing. So that's fine. I'm fine with that.
There you go. JML. What's that? You had anything more to add?
No, sorry. I was just saying, I was repeating myself.
No, okay.
Sorry.
No worries. Again, Dirko, what's going on? If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. JML Sports sitting at 2-2. Traded Pierce and Monty for JT. Was it worth the gamble?
Yeah.
You can't use Monty right now. You can use Pierce. I know JT wasn't available last week. Should be available this week.
He'll be fine.
There will be better days for JT moving forward, and he should give you a better output than Pierce by the end of the year. So, yeah, like that deal. Have PPR with Eckler and Swift as my other running backs.
Yeah, you're
great
good.
running back core.
Yeah, you're good. You're fine.
Great running back core. Good job putting that together.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Joller, hope that helped you. If you have any other questions with respect to DFS or season long or whatever sort of situation you find yourself with related to fantasy, let us know.
The Cowboys are an option. Actually, that's not bad either. We were talking about the Rams offense earlier this week. They are one-dimensional on offense. They have one weapon, and it's a great one in Cooper Kupp, but nothing else on that offense scares you on paper. The Cowboys are a decent one. I am just leery of road teams.
The Dallas Cowboys are giving up the 25th most fantasy points to opposing defenses. I don't know if I go that route. I would rather go Chargers against the Raiders, who are giving up the 17th most fantasy points to opposing defenses. So at least they're middle of the road. They're not one of the top 10 teams in lowest points to opposing defenses.
With the Cowboys, I guess, the favorable matchup here would be Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence against that patchwork offensive line. The Rams offensive line is not only banged up, but they're not good. So that is a scenario where the Cowboys could win. So it depends. It depends on what you want to do. Do you want to take the road, the defense on the road, which is a little dicier, but their strengths are a matchup issue for the weaknesses of the Rams?
Sorry. I got to interrupt you. I read that wrong. The Rams are giving up the first most fantasy points to opposing defenses.
Oh, you were looking at the Chargers?
I was looking at the the Cowboys and looking at it backwards. Absolutely go after the Cowboys. They're giving up the Rams are giving up the most fantasy points to opposing defenses, 20 points on average a week. Absolutely stream the Cowboys this week if you can.
Yeah. Again, it's always a little more dicey with teams on the road. But the Cowboys are playing well right now. The Rams are not playing well right now, at least on offense. And the Cowboys have, a position of strength on their defense that is going to be a major problem for the Rams, and that is the edge rushers that the Cowboys bring to the table. That Rams offensive line, again, is not good. It could be a long day for Matthew Stafford, having Cooper Kupp and what looks like a hodgepodge pile of bleh as far as everything else that he at his disposal. So yeah, the Cowboys are an option, and if that's going to save you about $400, $500, that might be the difference in being able to sneak in a wide receiver 1 instead of a high end wide receiver 2 into your lineup.
Agreed.
So yeah, I'm fine with the Cowboys. I guess one of the general rule of thumbs with DFS is to keep in mind is, for whatever reason, the algorithm seems to just the proof is in the pudding. You don't want to spend your entire budget. You want to focus more on it's not as much how much money how close to zero can I get? It's just what matchups make sense to target and to identify. So I feel like I forget what the statistic is, but it's incredibly low as far as people who see a payout who actually spent their entire budget. So just something to keep in mind.
If you are looking for some bottom of the barrel options right now, just really in any format, that should give you a decent week. He's not bottom of the barrel, but for DFS, you should probably be able to get him at a discount as far as the price goes. Corey Davis.
Yeah.
Corey Davis is currently the wide receiver 8 in air yards. Now, I know that has a lot to do with playing with Joe Flacco for the first 2 weeks, where he's throwing for anywhere between 44 to 59 times a game. But he's still sandwiched right in between A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs in terms of air yards. They're using him a lot. And Zach Wilson continued that trend. He targeted Corey Davis a fair amount last week. Corey Davis is somebody I'm trying to put on a DFS squad if I'm playing DFS this week. Nick has been a fan of Corey Davis for, all offseason. All offseason, really. 74 yards last week, 5 receptions, wide receiver 15 on the week, 1 touchdown. Yeah, Corey Davis is quietly showing some things. Yeah. Another, if you want to follow the air yards here, and I'll swerve as soon as there's a question in the chat, but I'm just... I
got one too, so let's keep it going.
Again, if we're going off of air yards, I'm not necessarily saying that you need to start this guy this week, but considering some of the injuries to this offense, you might want to, and we're still in start your studs territory. Terry McLaurin is the wide receiver 6 in air yards, total air yards through 4 weeks.
Yeah, he is.
The quality of those air yards, the quality of those targets, not quite there.
They're bad.
He also has a lesser target rate than a lot of other players. He's just getting targeted deep, and that's where those air yards are coming from. But Logan Thomas might not play this week. Jahan Dotson already ruled out. Curtis Samuel was coming into this game a little bit banged up. Looks like he's healthy, but still was coming into this game a little bit banged up. It could finally actually be a Terry McLaurin game, out of necessity.
Tennessee's given up a lot of production through the air. I think they're bottom 4 in the NFL in pass yards allowed per game. So now the opponents, they have played Josh Allen in a game where they got stomped. Their other opponents were Daniel Jones, Matt Ryan, and Derek Carr. So not exactly after other than
4.
Allen.
Derek Carr can put up points. So 2 out of the 4 quarterbacks, teams that are playing high-powered offenses.
Yeah. Daniel Jones and Matt Ryan don't exactly jump out at you off the page.
No.
So, overall, top to bottom, that's not the best collection of names to have to be sitting at 4th worst in the league in passing yards allowed. So, yeah, McLaurin's got a chance
6 here. In air yards, I think he could get it done this week.
Yeah.
Maybe just by nature of the injuries that he's dealing with.
Right.
You had one more to throw in, and then I have a few more, again, based on air yards and a couple of other things, but go for it.
If you're looking at bottom of the barrel for DFS this week, if you're not getting Kelsey or Mark Andrews into your lineup, which you should probably do, but if you don't, if you pass on Kelsey and Andrews at tight end, just take Kyle Pitts as backup. Parker Hesse.
You could.
Already has more looks in the red zone than Kyle Pitts this year, which is stupid, but it's true. And I believe he saw like 80% of the snaps last week. Let me see if I'm gonna double check on this because I still have this.
It's crazy that I would rather maybe stream him over Albert O or Noah Fant or some of these other guys.
Alberto and Alberto.
Cole Kmet. I mean, but the fact that I'd rather start Kyle Pitts' backup over those guys at any point.
87% of the snaps last week, and no less than 64% of the snaps in any of the first 4 games the Falcons have played this year. So he's
a good little stat.
On the field. He's on the field. And Kyle Pitts is not. Cordell Patterson is not. This is a Bucs defense that shuts down the run against no matter who they're playing. So you can't trust Tyler Algier or Avery Williams or Caleb Huntley. And I know you can't probably trust Marcus Mariota either, but again, DFS is all about finding that random dude who fires. Parker Hesse. If you punt at against Kelsey and Andrews, which I wouldn't advise, but also I'm not going to, try to tell you how to set your whole lineup.
And the last guy, or one of the last guys I want to talk about here, is a guy that Joller is asking about in the chat, only 4,300 cost right now,
Pickens,
where all the higher end options are 5,200 at the lowest. George Pickens is among the league leaders in air yards, even though you would not, I mean, conventional wisdom, having watched the games, having watched Red Zone and all that, having seen his box scores, I wouldn't have put that stat next to George Pickens' name.
Yep.
Let me just pull this up. He's currently the wide receiver 13 in air yards. Who's the wide receiver 12? Deontay Johnson. It's just interesting that he's right there with Deontay Johnson in terms of air yards when Deontay Johnson has averaged 11 to 12 targets a week and George Pickens hasn't. And now they're switching to a better quarterback who kind of hyper-targeted Pickens when he came in the game, and Pickett kind of hyper-targeted Pickens as soon as he came into the game.
Yep.
And Pickens finished with his best game to date, went over 100 yards on, I believe, 8 targets. Looked very good doing it. Yep, 8 targets, 6 receptions, 102 yards. Wide receiver 18 without scoring a touchdown, 157 air yards. I'm chasing that this week, especially in DFS for that price, but literally in any format, I'm chasing George Pickens this week. I think we could see a ceiling week from George Pickens, and we're going to start seeing those more often than not moving forward.
And that's a dirt cheap price to go after. So, yep, I'm good with that. I am absolutely good with that one.
And let's get to some of these questions in the chat. Cameron B. What's going on, man? 16-team full PPR league. One of the managers in my league is hurting for running backs and keeps sending me lame trade offers for my running backs. I'd be interested in getting Jamar Chase or T. Higgins from them. My current team is Burrow, CMC, Saquon, A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Kareem Hunt. And my bench is Hines, Ayuk, K.J. Osborne, Dawson Knox, Alexander Madison, and Elijah Mitchell. And you're stashing Jameson Williams on IR.
If you want Chase or Higgins, you're gonna, I wouldn't advise trading McCaffrey or Saquon.
I think you should be going for Higgins here because if you look at the production since they have both been in the league playing together, T. Higgins is actually the more targeted player with more yards.
Yeah.
Now, that might have to do with injury and all that, but I mean, Higgins' price is significantly lower, and he comes with basically the same amount of upside.
I would offer Amari Cooper and Kareem Hunt for him. See if that gets it done.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to... Amari Cooper and Alexander Madison, Amari Cooper and Elijah Mitchell, that's not going to work. Because, if he's hurting for running backs, Madison is still a backup.
Well, one of the managers in your league is hurting for running backs.
Right, that's why I said throw Kareem Hunt and Amari,
Well, maybe you should go Kareem Hunt and Alexander and Elijah Mitchell.
I don't think that's going to get it done. I'm just,
Start there. That's all I'm saying. Start there for Higgins and then move up.
You can try. I'm assuming it doesn't get it done, but yeah, I guess you go for offer the 2 RB package, Hunt and Elijah Mitchell, and if it doesn't get it done, say, all right, Kareem Hunt and Amari Cooper. Because you can absorb the loss of Cooper by adding a guy like Higgins.
And I do also just want to point this out. I know rookie wide receivers have been lighting it up this year. Chris Olave, Drake London, Garrett Wilson at times, Jahan Dotson in the red zone. Like, certain wide receivers, George Pickens, have been lighting it up this year, and they've been rookies, which is, not normal. Or maybe it's the new normal. I'm really not sure.
New normal. I think it's the new
normal.
But
Jameson Williams' price right now, or at least fantasy value right now, might be, if you're in redraft, as high as it will be all season. We don't know what his role is going to be. We like the offense, but if we think Amon-Ra St. Brown is the study is, if we think that Hawkinson getting 11 targets last week or whatever he got puts him back on the weekly radar, if we think Swift coming back is going to take away a legitimate amount of work, maybe Jameson Williams comes in and takes all of DJ Chark's work. But if you're stashing Jameson Williams, maybe somebody out there is willing to pay more than they're actually worth for an unknown commodity with limitless upside, because we haven't seen him. Now, you might want to hold him because you look at your wide receivers and you have A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, Ayuk, K.J. Osborne. But if you can move Jameson Williams, package him, with Kareem Hunt and Elijah Mitchell, and that's the edge that gets you a T. Higgins, to me, I'm doing that. I like Jameson Williams a lot, but there's a non-zero possibility that this is the highest value he will have all season in terms of trade.
I guess that 3-for-1, given the one that would be coming back in return, is fine. I guess I'm always just a little cautious about giving up 3 players for one guy. That is the one thing. And on top of that, it still might not get it done, because you are
not get it done. But I'm saying
you are talking about a wide receiver one right now, versus
people
high upside RB3.
People will flip for upside, man. I mean, yeah. We've seen it. And I would at least start with Kareem Hunt and Elijah Mitchell. Go up to Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, and Jameson Williams before I bring in Amari Cooper into the fold. But I'm absolutely willing to go Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt for T. Higgins. But I would start with Kareem Hunt and Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, that's fine. Start with Hunt and Elijah Mitchell. If you want to up it to JMO, that's fine, because you would still be keeping Amari Cooper in that situation, and you'd still have, your horses at running back. I guess if it gets it done, great. I guess I would just have some apprehension that it gets it done. But if it does, great.
And this guy, he's been sending you low ball offers, lame offers for your running backs.
Send him a low ball offer.
So send him one first to test the waters, and then progress from there. Maybe it'll get it done. You never know what people's own values are on players until you actually send them an offer.
Yeah.
Jaquil Wright, James Robinson, or Miles Sanders this week. Man, I think it's Miles Sanders. I love what James Robinson has been doing, but Miles Sanders...
Is there no way you can start both?
I'd be trying to.
Robinson is going up against the worst run defense for fantasy purposes by the numbers at home.
But I don't want to sit Miles Sanders playing Arizona.
I don't want to sit Miles Sanders either. He's an RB1 on the season. But Robinson's matchup is a Detroit Lions away it couldn't be better. It literally couldn't be better. It is second to none, including the Detroit Lions. I would want to start both if I can.
Yeah, I would agree. If
you have to pick, I guess Sanders. But if you like matchups, Robinson's matchup couldn't be better at home.
Put your whole lineup in there, and we'll help you make a decision. But you're trying to put both of those guys into your.
I want to find a way to get them both
onto your team. Tim Shields, good to see you. You swear you want to trade Pittman just because Ryan is terrible in that O-line?
Don't do it now.
Don't do it now.
You're not gonna get as good of an offer as you should get for a guy like Pittman.
And I still think there are better days.
What did he finish with last night? I think he had like 8.5 half PPR points.
Yeah, it was rough. It was another rough outing where he looked more like a wide receiver 3 than a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
He's still the wide receiver 14 in fantasy points per game. Don't trade him yet.
Nah, don't trade him yet. Hang on to him. The value has to go up. I don't know who the Colts have next week, but they're going to have 10 days off, whoever it is. At home against Jacksonville, I am hanging on to Pittman. Although,
and then
for what it's worth,
and then against the Titans on the road. So yeah, I'm holding on.
That one, yeah. I will say the Jags actually have not given up a single wide receiver 1 performance yet to any one wide receiver in the short season, but Pittman could do that. Jags have been Jags have been a little stingy against wide receivers, but Tennessee hasn't. Hang on with Pittman.
Chris Kreider with Pitts out. I could stream Tunyon, but I'm looking to acquire Higbee. You have Dillon, Jeff Wilson Jr., Breece Hall, Mike Boone, Najee Harris, anybody worth the trade. I want to hold on to everybody you just listed. So if I can just stream Tunyon this week, who scored a touchdown last week, looks more involved on a game-to-game basis, I'm just streaming Tunyon, even though Higbee looks like, I mean, look at how many times he's being targeted a game.
He's the number 2 option in the Rams passing offense.
I still want to, I don't want to drop or trade any of those guys away, with the exception of, like, if Boone gets it done, but Boone's not going to get it done. But I'm definitely holding Dillon, Hall, and Harris. If you wanted to package Wilson and Boone for somebody, I would say sure, but I would be shooting higher than Higbee.
Or if you can Wilson and Boone for Higbee and one of their depth running backs.
Yes, something like that. Maybe they got a Michael Carter or something. I don't know.
Or that because you have Hall. Yeah, sure. Or even like
Jaylen
Higbee.
Warren?
Do they have Melvin Gordon? I know it was kind of like he had 18 touches last night, didn't score, and still put up about 12 half PPR points. Like,
it's Damian Harris, not Najee. I'm still trying to hold Damian Harris. So
I'm trying, and I'm not. And against Detroit, I'm not trading. I'm not about to trade Damian Harris in this matchup. No. Like, any chance they got Melvin Gordon? Do Boone and Wilson for Higbee and Melvin Gordon? You know.
I know Higbee's the tight end 5 on the year. He's coming off a 17-point half PPR game, 14 targets in that game. I just color me skeptical, man. I've seen the 4 games of on fire Tyler Higbee, and then nothing before. I feel like he does this every year.
Well, this might be different. They've had a competent Robert Woods in the past.
But you have Pitts, who should be a 1-week absence. I'm not trying to acquire Higbee. If I'm shooting as high as the guy who's the tight end 5 right now, I'm shooting higher than Higbee. If I'm trading Jeff Wilson and Boone, I'm trading for higher than Higbee.
And then what would that even be, though, right now?
I mean,
you're not going to get Kittle. You're not going to get Waller. Do you even want those guys anyway? I mean, you might. I'm not, Kittle almost caught a touchdown last week. And Waller is healthy and off the injury report. And we still, yeah. I mean, you have Pitts. I know it's been gross. I guess
it comes down to, like, I'd be willing to move Boone and Wilson, the package of Boone and Wilson, for something. Because you have Pitts and you can just stream Tunyon, I'm thinking you try to upgrade elsewhere. What are your wide receivers like? I'm not trying to package 2 running backs that you can play. Probably, I mean, one of them might be a rest of season streamer. The other one is at least good for the next 2 games, giving you RB2 value. I don't want to move those guys for a tight end for a 1-week Band-Aid. Because when Pitts comes back, I'm advocating you start Pitts over Higbee.
Yes, you have to.
So, who are your wide receivers, Chris? Can you move Wilson and Boone to get a better wide receiver? I'm not willing to do that for a tight end right now, considering what your situation is.
Yep. Yeah, just pick up Tunyon.
Yeah. Alex Watts, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Would you play Dobbins or Lazard this week, PPR? Plus, do I play Cooper Rush and bench Stafford?
Oof, we're here, aren't we?
Week 6 or week 5.
Lazard is in London against the Giants and has showed out pretty well these past couple weeks.
But Dobbins coming off a 40-point week or a 20-point week against Buffalo. I think I'm going Dobbins with no Bateman.
Dobbins with no Bateman is probably a pretty good bet. Lazard, though, the past 2 weeks, 14 combined targets, 10 combined catches, over 150 receiving yards, and a touchdown back in week 3. Lazard has delivered the past couple of weeks, and even in week 2, it wasn't great, but he did catch another touchdown. So,
maybe it's a situation where you try to find a way to play Lazard, but in that situation where I have to choose between those two, I'm going Dobbins this week. The matchup is still on the uglier side of things. The Bengals aren't a smash play for running backs against, but I'm going back to a guy that I drafted hoping he'd be a wide receiver 1 or a running back 1 coming off the running back 1 week that he had last week.
Yeah, 60 total yards of offense on 17 touches. Kind of gross, but also the weather was bad and it was a great defense. We do have to remember his touchdowns came on opportunistic situations because Josh Allen threw some first half interceptions, and the Ravens, to their credit, capitalized on some remarkably short fields. Now, that being said,
they're apt to do that weekly, and they're down one of their best weapons.
And the Bengals are not on the Bills level on defense, although they've been decent.
I'm going Dobbins, but I'm trying to find a way to put Lazard into my wide receiver 3 spot if I'm going wide receivers deep.
Yeah. I would love to find a way to play both.
Yes.
As far as Rush over Stafford,
I can't do that. Yeah, I still can't do that on principle.
Rams they're playing each other. Who else? What other quarterbacks are out there? Or maybe the fact that Cooper Rush is your option is maybe telling that there aren't any other quarterback options out there. But are there any other quarterbacks on the wire? Because I would love to pivot off of Stafford if I can. It is not. I don't feel good about Stafford right now. He has one player to work with.
Yeah, did somebody drop Brady? Is Cousins out there? Is Trevor Lawrence out there? I gotta imagine most of these guys are picked up. Is Goff out there? Is Geno Smith out there? Right.
If Goff is out there, I'm playing.
Is Zach Wilson out there? Then there becomes, after I think maybe the Zach Wilson tier, it's a little bit of a tier break, and then I'd rather play Stafford over everybody else. Cooper Rush falls into that group. But I would go down to, Zach Wilson. I'd entertain Carson Wentz. Geno Smith for sure. Jared Goff for sure.
Wentz is without Dotson and maybe without Logan Thomas. Going up against it, the matchup is good by the numbers going up against Tennessee, but he will be without Dotson.
So those are a few options to go with. If you have to choose between Cooper Rush and Stafford, I think I'm still going Stafford. And Alex, which 3 rookies have the best rest of season are worth having on my team / bench? Christian Watson, Alec Pierce, Rashad White, James Cook, Zamir White, and Jordan Mason.
The first 3?
It's definitely Rashad White is in there.
Rashad White is heads and shoulders above the rest of this group. Alec Pierce had a nice showing last night.
8 for 81, I believe.
I would say Pierce. I would say my original statement stands. The first 3. Watson did, he came through on an end around for a score and didn't really do anything else. But again, opportunities are going to remain wide open for the Packers all year long, and they drafted him high in the second round. Alec Pierce drafted high in the second round. Rashad White has a clear opportunity over any of those other running back names. The first 3. I guess Cook and Zamir are in some kind of second.
I have to say, I like Rashad White. I like Zamir White because of what the handcuff role that he represents if anything were to happen to Josh Jacobs. who has been remarkably healthy throughout his career, but a running back can pick up an injury out of nowhere. And if Josh Jacobs got injured, he just put up 177 yards last week. He is the bell cow there. If he were to get injured, Zamir White would step into a workhorse every down role, with maybe Amir Abdullah coming in and taking a little bit of the pass catching upside. But still, Zamir White is technically still one of the best handcuffs in the league. You can't say that for Jordan Mason, and right now you can't say that for James Cook. But he has the same upside if an injury occurred as Rachaad White. He just doesn't have the week-to-week viability that Rachaad White has as a standalone option.
White has a role now. With Zamir, that's the thing, though. Like, he's currently an insurance policy. Watson and Pierce have a clearer path to playing time right now, and Josh Jacobs is playing great. It's the first three for me, kind of definitively.
All right, Rachaad White's in there for sure for me. I would choose one of Christian Watson or Alec Pierce, but they are kind of both the same type of prospect for me. Size, speed specimens who probably got overdrafted. They both fall into that for me. Alec Pierce is coming off the nice game. Christian Watson has the better QB, but honestly has more competition for targets because Dubs looks good. Alan Lazard is looking decent. Aaron Jones is still there, and Robert Tonyan is getting more work every single week. So, honestly, Christian Watson's, I mean, his role this year is it looks like it's shrinking a little bit. Where Alec Pierce's looks like it's opening up ahead of him. Like we can see the light through the end of the tunnel for Alec Pierce coming off a decent game. Christian Watson, it seems a little bit more muddied.
66% of the snaps for Watson week 1, 32% week 2. Then he picked up the injury, missed week 3. Only played 25% of the snaps week 4. So I hear you that it feels like his role might be diminishing, but I think it's, a situation where they might be easing him back in from the injury that he suffered week 3. Meanwhile, Zamir White has 9 snaps total on the season. And
it's not what he can do while Josh Jacobs is healthy. It's what we project for him if and when an injury happens. If Devin Singletary went down, James Cook wouldn't take an every down role. Jordan Mason still hasn't taken that despite 2 injuries to running backs ahead of him. He's still nowhere to be seen. But I think Zamir White would step into a near every down role. I like that lottery ticket from the running back position, and I know we're debating on this a lot. So bottom line is, keep Rachaad White. If you would rather go 2 wide receiver here versus 2 running back, maybe it's the positional break that does it for you. If your wide receivers are great and your running backs need a little bit of help, maybe you go Rachaad White, Zamir White, Alec Pierce, or Christian Watson. But if your running backs are solid, you got great running backs, wide receivers a little iffy, go with Nick's recommendation. Hopefully our discussion on it helped you figure out.
I don't think I want Zamir White in redraft right now unless I have Josh Jacobs. But yes, it is always good to be 1 week ahead of running backs than 1 week behind.
And Buddy's 75p. Alan Lazard or DJ Moore. Can't believe we're here, but it's Alan Lazard. It is Alan Lazard. Yep.
Moore is. We need to see Baker Mayfield figure out how to play quarterback at the NFL level before we can fire up DJ Moore. It has to be Lazard. It has to be.
Yeah. Tim Shields, is Godwin a low-end wide receiver 1 if healthy the rest of the season?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's what you drafted him for, too.
Yep, PPR monster. He's, removed from the injury report in full today. He's back healthy. Julio Jones is questionable and can't be relied on at this point of his career. And no disrespect to Russell Gage, who is a nice player and a nice option for the Bucs as your third option at wideout, but Godwin clears in a big way. And we'll go back to that 95% snap share and routes run with Mike Evans with a Tom Brady-led passing attack.
Yeah, go-to wide receiver for Tom Brady, who Tom Brady is sorely needed. Yeah, he's a wide receiver 1 again.
And Brady loves those guys that fill that short and intermediate role. Godwin does that at a much more athletic level than guys like Julian Edelman ever did. So
yes.
Yeah, Godwin is a wide receiver 1.
He might be the best slot receiver that Tom Brady has ever had, which is saying something.
That's saying something because, Wes Welker and all that. But yeah, Godwin is, yes, low-end wide receiver 1. Yep.
And Chris noted, and I think our point stands from above. Dear Co, half PPR, pick 2. Stevenson, Dobbins, or Hall. The last 2, man, for me. I love Stevenson this week, but Dobbins and Hall are my guys this week.
I love Breece Hall, but I'm playing Ramondre.
Are you?
The Lions, man. The Lions can't stop a cold. They can't stop. They can't stop a nosebleed. Whatever the actual saying is. The Lions are getting absolutely worked on the ground right now. I'm firing up Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson with tons of confidence this weekend. I hear you on Dobbins, and as you know, I've been a big proponent of Breece Hall since kickoff of the opening game. I am not going to play Breece Hall when I have Ramondre. Again, in a situation where the Patriots are playing a third-string quarterback, they're going to run the ball 40 times if they can.
And looking at
again,
the Dolphins right now,
PPR guy,
Dolphins versus running backs, they're the 28th ranked in terms of the fantasy points to opposing running backs with only 16. So it is actually a bad matchup. So yeah, I think I'm swerving. Of talent alone, I would go Dobbins Hall, but yeah, I think I got to swerve.
That matchup is too good, and it makes too much sense at home for the Patriots to give Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson all the work they can handle.
Tim, Rashad White from the Bucs, yeah, he's absolutely worth the stash. Great stash.
He's a spectacular hold, and should not be on waivers anywhere unless you play in a 4-man league.
Tim Shields, is Akers done? No.
Where's that?
Akers is not done. It's just that's kind of been rough for him. He had through 3 weeks an increasing snap share every week, and then last week against San Fran, 38% snaps, went right back down to his second lowest on the year. Didn't look great for Cam Akers last week. I don't think he's done yet. If you look at the Arizona week, he averaged above 5 yards per carry, scored a touchdown, looked good on 12 carries, 50% of the snaps. I don't know what happened against San Fran. But I think there will be better days for Cam Akers, and if you look at their schedule, it opens up from a defenses against perspective by around week 9. So he should have a better second half of the year than first half of the year, and he might still be working his way back from the Achilles tear. He's only 23. I'm not willing to say that Cam Akers is done yet.
If you have him, you have to hold. That being said, it's the early returns are a little concerning. These are some stats from Pro Football Focus. Cam Akers in 2020, prior to the injury, his breakaway percentage on any given run was 26%. This year, it's 0. 10-yard runs per game. He averaged 1.2 in 2020. He's down to less than 1.75 per game. Yards after contact per attempt, 2.96 in 2020. Actually still decent now, 2.55. Not bad. Designed rushing attempts, more than 15 yards per game. Half of those in 2020, 0 in 2022. Yards per carry down from 4.4 to 3.2. The numbers are concerning.
Now the O-line does come into play because they had a decent to very good O-line in 2020, whereas now they literally have one of the worst in the league, one of the worst O-lines in the league. That plays into it a lot.
The O-line is terrible.
But he does not have the explosiveness that he used to have, and that's pretty apparent based on those numbers too.
That being said, he's still getting opportunities. Yes, it's a split backfield with Darrell Henderson, but you're going to have to continue to be patient. This might not be the year for him. If he's putting up similar numbers next year, then we'll say he's done. But with the Achilles tear, different players recover at different lengths of time. He could be fine. I wouldn't bank on any type of miraculous steps forward this year at this point. He might be able to give you some serviceable weeks here and there, but we might need to wait until 2023 until we can hopefully definitively declare what Cam Akers is moving forward.
Yeah, and just to add into those 2020 versus 2022 stats, in 2020, his run blocking rating was 52.6, which Player Profiler rates the O-line blocking that is done ahead of a running back on any given play and compiles that over a year. Spits out a grade. 28th best in the league that year. Not great, but in 2022, his run blocking rating is 9.5. 60th in the league right now.
It's pretty bad.
I kind of want to look at what running backs are even in the same area as him. 60th running back in the league right now. That's terrible.
That's awful.
That's terrible. So not all of it is on him. I think there will be better days. It might not happen this year because that O-line isn't going to get better this year. And with the cap situation that they're in and with them not having any draft picks, it's fair to wonder if they're going to be saddled with a bad O-line for the next few seasons. You know,
yeah, they're going to
you do have to factor that in.
Something on the fly. Right. The lack of picks is going to prevent them from being able to make any quick fixes on the line. So this is a concern.
It is.
This is a concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
you're
don't
holding.
know.
If
you're holding, but you're kind of feeling gross about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving because I know you said we're on a bit of a time crunch tonight, but we're gonna let's keep this moving.
Yeah. I did say we only had an hour, and then we deliberated for a half an hour on three questions. My bad. Yeah. D. Lenny, Patriots running backs have the second easiest arrest of season. Go for it. Fire them up. Yep.
And yes, if anybody's down on them for whatever reason or looking to make a move and dangling them out there, yes, buy them. It's a good call out.
Yeah. And Chris, thank you for the nice words. I hope our
appreciate it.
Our analysis helps, even if we don't go with what we advise. Hopefully, just us talking about it, talking through it with each other and with you helps out.
Yeah, we have a process. We hope it helps. And that's kind of all we can go with, right? But appreciate it.
Absolutely. Fabian Verka lost Javonte and have ETN. Sorry you lost Javonte, man. Mixon and Jamal Williams picked up Hilliard instead of Warren and Eno Benjamin. What are your thoughts?
I don't think Hilliard is a hold. I think I would rather have Warren or Eno Benjamin, or I don't know if Pacheco is still out there.
I think I'd rather have Warren.
I mean, that's fine. Warren,
because in case of an injury ahead of him, it's Najee and nobody else, and then it's Warren's job. Eno still has to worry about Darrell Williams, still has to worry about Keontae Ingram to a certain extent. He's not going to get the entire role if anything happened to James Conner. And the running back role for the Cardinals hasn't been the fantasy gold mine that it has been in the past. Just look at James Conner's box scores the past few weeks. Hasn't been great. So I would rather have Warren. Pick up Warren. Drop Hilliard, pick up Warren.
Drop Hilliard. Yep.
Cameron B., you are very welcome. Thank you for chilling with us. And if you manage to get T. Higgins for Hunt and Mitchell somehow, do you think you'd only be all right with CMC, Saquon, Hines, Madison at RB? Yes.
Maximize your team's ceiling. And there's going to be guys that pop up out of the woodwork that are probably on the wire right now.
Having the best-looking bench gets you nothing.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, you want to protect yourself.
Unless you're in,
But if you can get high-end options, then swing for the fences.
Yeah. Now, there are situations in which a good bench will win you a league. But for the most part, if you have great starters and you're banking on those starters staying healthy, you'll get pretty far. Alex, in a 14-team league, other options are Dalton, Mariota, Rush, Daniel Jones, and Zappi for Stafford. Gross.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather just roll with Stafford.
I guess you got to suck it up and play Stafford. I guess you just got to play Stafford.
And main, Jamal Williams is more than an every week flex until Swift returns. He's at least an RB2, but when Swift returns,
it's going to be matchup.
It remains to be seen. Yeah, matchup based. You're gonna want to be playing the matchups. You're gonna want to tune in here and ask us what the fantasy points are against for their opposing team on a week-to-week basis. So stick with us, and we'll help you figure out which weeks he will be the flex.
I mean, it's looking favorable for him just because the Lions' defense is terrible, and the Lions' offense is going to have to continue to put in the work. So yes, but I mean, let's take it 1 week at a time. Because not only is Swift going to come back healthy, amon-ra
will eventually come into the fold too.
Amon-ra will get back fully healthy. We're hopefully plays this week, but even if he doesn't sound like he's too far away. So yeah, it's going to be a little matchup based for this week anyway. Yeah, you can comfortably fire him up.
And Sheldon Bright, Logan Thomas is questionable this week, might not play. So by default, go with Tonyan.
If those are your best options, then just go Tonyan. Like John said, Thomas might not even play.
And yeah, D. Linney, letting everybody know, be aware of your bye week starting week 6. You don't need to do any outlandish preparation. Just be aware.
Yeah, just be ready to go.
And you picked up Godwin off waivers on week 3. That's crazy, Tim.
The manager who dropped Godwin needs to be kicked out of your league.
Yeah. Do you trade Marquise Brown for Godwin?
Yes.
I think so, because DeAndre Hopkins is coming back, and as soon as that happens, it'll muddy the waters for Marquise Brown, who won't be getting 11 targets, 14 targets a week. So yes.
Do it.
Greg Z, thank you for becoming a member yesterday. Much appreciated. Trying to officially backfill Pitts now. Do you guys still like Conklin over Hurst? Thomas is also an option. You know what we just said about Thomas, so he's not actually an option. Half PPR league, also thinking Vikings defense over Cowboys defense this week. I'd roll with the Cowboys. Conklin over Hurst.
Can't go wrong. Vikings are playing the Bears at home. I might go. I would go Vikings. I would go the Vikings. Because the Cowboys are at least on the road against, Stafford and Cooper Kupp. The Vikings are going up against Justin Fields and Matt Eberflus. Vikings.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
It's the Bears. The Bears are the offense to target right now for fantasy. Pick up the Vikings. At home.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yep. As far as the tight end, I'm fine with Conklin. He remained involved last week.
Yeah, the floor didn't completely drop out of this offense. Zach Wilson looked all right last week. I'd be willing to run it back with Conklin.
Isn't Hurst questionable? I don't know if he was removed from the injury report.
I think he's playing, but
he's got the questionable tag. Did not practice today.
That.
A surprise DNP on Friday. Not Hurst. Conklin. Conklin. Yep. A surprise DNP for Hayden Hurst today. I would be pivoting off of Hayden Hurst. Anybody and everybody who may have to consider him, I would pivot away from Hayden Hurst.
And notable because I was advocating playing him yesterday. So anybody who listened to me yesterday, swerve off of what I was saying. I was not aware that he did not play today or did not practice today.
Surprise DNP today. Yep.
Alex Watts, PPR. J.D. McKissick has just been dropped onto the waiver wire. Is he worth picking up? I mean, nah.
Depends on who you have as, who can you drop?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have a decent role, especially with Brian Robinson coming back into the fold. I don't expect decent production moving forward. I think Curtis Samuel has stolen all of his upside. So honestly, I would probably leave him there in favor of a better handcuff option, like what we were talking about for, I think I'd even go Zamir White over J.D. McKissick, because what is the upside that J.D. McKissick presents? I don't really see it anymore.
Yeah.
Mark Yosko, ETN or Algier?
ETN.
Tier break. Talent tier break there. I'm going ETN too.
I have ETN as a buy low candidate for this week. In case anybody's curious, week 5 players to consider trading for. It is a video that I did drop on the channel today. ETN's in there, and I'm firing him up in a fantastic matchup today, and I'm looking for a way to get him on my roster moving forward. Go take a look at his second half of his schedule, or you can check out my video. But yes, ETN today and ETN moving forward.
And remember that ETN was a guy who was comparable to a DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
So if James Robinson continues to get a Jamal Williams role plus, ETN still definitely has value. Should you stash Kyle Phillips And how does your boy get in the Discord? Third link in the description. Click on that.
Third link in the description. If of this video, it is an evergreen invite. So you probably just need to click show more near the description or somewhere in the description, and then third link.
And unfortunately, I do have to go very soon, so we are going to rapid fire the hell out of the next few chats here to get to the bottom of it. We apologize. It was an impromptu stream today. We only had about an hour allocated, so we do have to speed through these. Should you stash Kyle Phillips? Worst players to stash, but I do think that Treylon Burks is coming back at some point within the next few weeks.
Turf toe is a concern, but it just it depends. How bad do you want the other guy at the end of your bench right now? Jaller, Damian Pierce or Josh Reynolds?
Damian Pierce, for sure.
Pierce. Jacksonville's a good defense, right? Or playing well right now, but Pierce, he's that team's RB1.
Alex Watts, I would keep J.K. Dobbins. I love A.J. Dillon, but you have Aaron Jones, so you would kind of just be handcuffing yourself. Whereas if you keep J.K. Dobbins, you have the option for 2 RB1s weekly. If you trade him for A.J. Dillon, you're settling for at least 1 RB2 week a week.
Yep.
The handcuff value is there. Would rather have Dobbins.
Yep.
D. Lenny, fun fact, Steve Smith said Cooper Kupp was the best wide receiver in his rookie class. He said that about Kyle Phillips this year.
Oh, he was right about Kupp. I mean, Phillips, we'll see. The opportunity is there. Burks has turf toe. That is something that can linger all season long. I mean, he's an option in PPR leagues to stash. He's an option.
Yeah. But remember, Cooper Kupp did finish as the wide receiver 5 once, but it took a marrying of a great statistical quarterback and one of the best coaches of our time to truly unlock Cooper Kupp to the wide receiver that we've been seeing over the past year and a half. Is that going to happen for Kyle Phillips? Something you got to think about there. Yeah. Ryan Tannehill ain't it. Malik Willis doesn't project to be it. That handcuffs him to a certain extent from a passing perspective. Greg Z, also, if Hill can't go this week, who would be in your flex? Algier, Mostert, Dubs, half PPR.
Dubs.
Half PPR, it's Dubs.
Dubs. Honestly, standard, it's Dubs. Algier versus the Bucks, no thank you. Mostert's interesting, but Dubs has got way more stock up right now.
He's the reason why I was a little bit hesitant on going in on stashing Christian Watson, because Dubs just looked that good.
Dubs is that
Almost
guy.
Caught 2 touchdowns last week.
Greg Dubs, for sure, if Hill can't go.
Get those Dubs. Alex, thank you for your comment there. And D. Lenny, interesting. Little caveat thrown in there.
Round 3
in round 3 and beyond. Okay.
Could be. I mean, hey, we're not going to.
Did he say the same thing about Amon-Ra St. Brown last year?
Yeah. Well, that would be good. That'd be a good thing to know if he identified that.
Eel out. Amen to you too. Cali Loco, Dallas, DST, or Jacksonville.
You can't go wrong either way. I don't think. Jacksonville against Houston at home. That's favorable. Dallas against Stafford and that Rams defense or Rams offense that is playing poorly right now and giving up tons of points to opposing defenses. It's like a coin flip, to be honest. I think both are favorable. It's just a matter of who do you think is more likely to win the game might be the breaking point for me. Dallas on the road or Jacksonville at home. You can go either way. I guess Jacksonville may be slight edge just because the matchup is a little bit more you're less worried about the Houston offense as a whole. At least the Rams have Cooper Kupp. But
the Rams are giving up the most fantasy points to opposing defenses, and you can't say the same thing for Houston, who is giving up the 16th most fantasy points to defenses. There is an 8-point on average difference between the two. So playing the Cowboys,
you can go either way.
It's not a bad option to swerve to either, even though they might have the better opponent, all told. Joller, thanks, man.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thanks.
Happy to feel that.
We'll be back here. At least I will be back here for this week, but we are usually streaming together on Saturday at 6 p.m. EST, Sunday 10 a.m. EST, Tuesday 6 p.m. EST, and we have 2 shows on Wednesday and Thursday 6 p.m. EST for our members. And if you would like to join as a member, get 2 extra streams a week, 8 extra streams a month. Check it out. We have an offering for only 99 cents a month.
Yep. First link in the description of this video about membership opportunities, if anyone's interested.
And D-Lenny, good to know about the Bengals, what the Bengals coach said. Good to know.
The surprise, I mean...
I'd still go Conklin over Hurst.
The DNP today is a little concerning. I would pivot off of that. Even like a limited would be fine for Friday. I wouldn't. And he plays Sunday night, so you have to wait until the night game. I'm off Hayden Hurst.
Yeah. Mark Yasko, Dubs or Devonta Smith? Easily Devonta Smith, even though I love what Dubs is doing.
I love what Dubs is doing, but I think you got to go Devontae.
Greg Z, no worries about all the questions. Absolutely cool. Terry McLaurin or Gabe Davis this week, half PPR.
Tough.
Gabe Davis, no Isaiah McKenzie, no Jamison Crowder for looks like the rest of season, no Dawson Knox. Gabe Davis has been a little bit more banged up over the past few weeks, but I think I'm going back to the well this week.
Full participant in practice all week this week.
I think I like Terry McLaurin this week, but I think I'm going with Gabe Davis this week.
Yep. I have that very decision to make because I found a way to. I tried to put Nyheim Hines in my lineup last night and it backfired. So now I can't play both. I got to pick one. I'm probably picking Gabe.
Blue Crew, PPR, start one at the flex. Mostert, Pollard, or Gallup?
Gallup. The Rams, I think, are giving up a decent amount of work through the air.
They are.
And Gallup is the bona fide wide receiver, too, in that offense and caught a touchdown last week. Like another week removed from the injury. Give me Gallup. CeeDee Lamb, like Ramsey will see CeeDee Lamb. Like Gallup. Give me Gallup.
Yep.
And in full PPR, give me the receiver.
Fabian, much appreciated for the comment below, and no worries about the long question. It's all good. Full PPR, 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, and a flex. Start sit Jamal Williams, Mixon Etienne, Boyd London, DJ Moore, Dubs. You have McKenzie and St. Brown, but ... we already know.
You're playing your 3 running backs and your 2 backs and a flex spot, and then you're going London. You're going. I guess I would go London, Tyler Boyd, and Dubs. I can't play DJ Moore right now if I have anything as far as a competent replacement. And Boyd, I would say, fits that bill right now. That's how bad. It's not DJ Moore's fault. That's how bad Baker Mayfield is playing.
I mean, yes, Boyd has 2 matchups where he's gotten above 10 fantasy points. He scored 2 touchdowns on the year. But, I mean, DJ Moore, didn't he have, like, 11 targets last week? It seemed like something clicked. I know it didn't. Yeah, 11 targets, 6 receptions, 50 yards. Could have easily caught a touchdown in there. I think there will be slightly better days for DJ Moore, and Tyler Boyd is still the number 3, or maybe number 4, depending on what happens with Hayden Hurst in that offense. DJ Moore's still the number 1.
I know, but he's going up against San Francisco. I hate that matchup. He's a low-end wide receiver 3. I guess if you just want to chase the guy who has. I'm
going London Moore at Dubs. I just off principle.
I can't play DJ Moore right now.
I gotta play DJ Moore over Boyd coming off an 11 target week. You gotta hope that bodes well for him moving forward.
This might be a moot point. Apparently, Amon-Ra got in a limited practice today. It sounds like he's trending in the right direction. Even if he's questionable going into the game, if he's determined active, it's a moot point. You're playing Amon-Ra. So Jamal Williams, Mixon, Etienne, and then in the flex,
London and Dubs, but maybe St. Brown over Moore,
and then Amon-Ra.
And it depends if you agree with Nick or I on if Amon-Ra doesn't go, which way you end up going. But you have 5 out of your 6 starters chosen for you. Good luck with your matchup. If you have any more questions, we will be live 2 more times before kickoff. And Nick Peroni, should I trade Hopkins and Lazard and Corey Davis for Tyreek Hill?
No, that's too much.
Yeah, you're giving up too much, and all those guys are too productive.
Yeah, right.
You're giving
Lazard
up what should be a wide receiver 1 and 2 low-end wide receiver 2s right now for a wide receiver 1. You just have to wait a week, Nick. And Hopkins, or wait 2 weeks, and Hopkins will be
2 more weeks.
You know, maybe not what Tyreek Hill is, but and dealing with a quarterback who might not optimize him weekly.
Well, I'm not worried about, but Tua is banged up, and Hill himself is on the injury report. No, Hill's usage with Tua is just fine.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about his usage with Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, with Teddy, yeah. That's a little bit more concerned, although Teddy hyper-targeted him last week.
But we've seen the Teddy Bridgewater experiment completely fall apart in the past.
Yeah.
So
I don't want. Yeah.
The bottom line is don't make that
trade.
trade.
We're saying slightly different things, but we agree. I'm not making the trade.
Yes. But you guys, we are at the end of the chat. Thank y'all for chilling in an impromptu Friday night stream. We don't normally do this, but we will be back with you guys tomorrow at the same time. And then on Sunday at 10 a.m. EST, come tune in. We'll chill and talk about fantasy like we always do. Thanks for all the questions today. Hope you guys have a good Friday night. And we will see you hopefully within the next 2 days. Alex, one last question. If you have time, yes, we do. Rate this team for this week. Matt Stafford, Aaron Jones, Jeff Wilson, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, Zach Ertz, J.K. Dobbins, Packers DST, and Mason Crosby.
You're fine.
Having to deal with what Pittman gave you this week, you're going to have somebody else really turn it on.
You're still fine.
But you should be all right. I
mean, it is competitive enough.
Yes.
You know, that's all you can hope for. Right? That's all you can hope for.
But thanks for chilling, y'all, and I will see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace, y'all.